Mr. Paul here, back with another theory video, and in this one I want to go over chord inversions. So this is another one that hopefully you know your golden triads pretty well and you can figure out all your major, minor, augmented, diminished chords and root position. And then it would probably be good if you knew a little bit about seventh chords as well, because we're going to talk about that a little bit, but we won't dive into it too much. Okay, so let's just get right into it. What is a chord inversion? Well, turns out that if we play a chord, we can play this chord with the notes in a different order as long as we're using the exact same notes, and we're still going to consider it that chord. So here's what I mean. Say I have a C chord, C, E, G. Well, what if I played this C here instead? I still have the same notes, C, E, and G, they're just in a different order. E, G, C, now they're in that order, okay? So as far as we're concerned, that is still a C chord. We would just say it's in first inversion now, because we flipped it once, right? So here's root position, our normal triad shape. I move this C up, I get first inversion. Then I could do it again. If I move this E up here, still the same notes, just a different order, G, C, E. And then we call that second inversion, by the way. And then if I do it one more time, I get G all the way up there, and I'm back in root position, okay? Root position, first inversion, second inversion. If I flip again, I just end up in root position again. I just happen to be an octave higher. So I like to draw this out sometimes too, because I think the visual representation helps. So again, just using a C chord as a reference, but the idea is this works for any chord. So, you know, C is just the easiest one to kind of work some of these concepts in. So if I move this C up an octave, I just get that voicing there. Then if I move that E up an octave, ooh, my G's a little wacky there. Whatever, good enough. I get that, and then if I move this G up, I'm just back in root position. So we call that root, just put an R for that. First inversion, second inversion, and then we're back to root. Okay, so this C moved here, this E moved there, and that G moved there. That's pretty much it as far as the concept is concerned. One analogy I like to use with my students is like a BLT sandwich. So if you know what a BLT is, bacon, lettuce, tomato, and you go to a restaurant and you order a BLT and they bring you out an LTB, you're probably not gonna be that upset. It's the same sandwich. So you might argue, oh, it hits a little different when the bacon's on top than when the lettuce is on top or something. But for all intents and purposes, the same sandwich, it tastes the same. And same with these chords, they all kind of, lack of a better word, taste the same or sound the same. But they do kind of have their own unique qualities as well, you know? So the real question is, why would we even want to do this? And that's what we would call voice leading. So I'm gonna make a separate video on that, but before I wrap this one up, let's take a seventh chord and flip that around. So let's go G7, because everybody knows that one, right? So that's gonna be G, B, D, F. And that's in root position. Then we move this G up, we're in first inversion. Oops, getting ahead of myself. Move this B up, we're in second inversion. Move this D up, we're in third inversion. Then we move that F up, and we are back into root position. So yes, we have a third inversion when it comes to seventh chords, but if you think about this, it should make sense because we have an extra note, right? So that gives us one more flip, if you will. So I'll show you this. There's G7, I'll move G up. That's first inversion. And notice there's kind of like a crunch at the top now. Flip it again, here's second inversion. Now the crunch is kind of in the middle. Flip it again, crunch is kind of at the bottom. Move that F up. We're back in root position again. So I'm mentioning that crunch. That's kind of useful to keep in mind, and there's kind of a similar trick with the triads when I flip them. If we look at C, when I go to the first inversion, there's kind of like a bigger gap here, right? And then when I'm in second inversion, the gap is kind of there. So in our sheet music, we can kind of take advantage of that and know that like a root position chord should have this nice kind of snowman shape. But then when we go into first inversion, we're planning on seeing kind of like a third at the bottom, then a gap, then a note a little higher. So that's kind of a tip off, hey, this chord's probably in first inversion. And then if we go with that second inversion, the crunch is a little higher up like that. Okay, so seventh chords have a similar thing going on here. I'll do that real quick. You get this even stack of 4. Oops. Then you flip it, and you get something that kind of has this weird crunch at the top, like 2 notes smashed together, and that's first inversion. Second inversion, you kind of get the crunch in the middle. And then for that third inversion, you're going to get the crunch at the bottom. So again, maybe getting a little esoteric here with how we're visualizing these things, but if you can see how these shape out on the piano, oh, these 2 notes are stuck close together, or there's a bigger gap here, you'll see it in your music too, and it'll help you make that connection between your music and your hands. So, okay, that's it for this. I will make a separate video on voice leading, so catch me on that one, and all of this inversion stuff will make a lot more sense.